Hello, dreamers, doers, believers, and achievers. I'm Dwayne Chig, and welcome to Talking Books, the place for people who like books, reading them, and writing them. And today on Talking Books, my guest is spoken word artist D Revolution. His new book, Half Empty, Half Full. We're going to talk about that, and we thank him for being a part of Talking Books. D Revolution, how are you, sir?
I am good. How are you? And first, I want to say thank you for interviewing me, for the interview. Thank you for the interview.
Oh, I greatly appreciate it, man. Appreciate you being with us. I know, you've done this several times, so I thank you for gracing us and talking books with being with us on today. Now, your book, Half Empty, Half Full. You are one of the city's hottest spoken word artists. You're a master storyteller. You've won the SEA Award. Explain to us, what is that?
That's the Southern Entertainment Award based on all 11 states in the South. They award different artists for singing, rapping, spoken word artists, just different, magazines, different things they've been doing for several years. I don't. This is probably maybe they close to their 20th year maybe of doing it. So they've been doing it a while. I've been very honored to get that award.
Oh man, that is great. That is great. And so, with being a spoken word artist and having done so well, as a spoken word artist, what made you decide to, for this particular project, move from spoken word to putting it on paper or writing the book? What made you make that transition, do that?
Well, before I started doing spoken word, I was I was a storyteller before spoken word even
Okay.
entered my life. You know, I went to film school and I started writing screenplays like right out of high school. So I was always telling stories. And then I stumbled upon poetry and spoken word, and I just started writing poetry. I left Chicago, came here to Nashville, and I started writing poetry and spoken word and started performing. And I just had a lot of success doing that. And since I've been doing that now for 20 years, I went back to not screenplays, but instead of writing screenplays, writing a book, I have so many stories in my head. So the first thing was to write my initial book about my life, and I wrote that. One Chance to Be a Man. People love this book. One Chance to Be a Man.
Okay.
And once I wrote that book, then I decided that I just want to write books now. It was
Okay.
fun doing it. It was fun. And I was just like, all these stories I have in my head, I need to get them out.
One Chance to Be a Man. That was that is that a book of poetry? Is that a novel? What is that about? One Chance to Be a Man.
It's a memoir.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, your memoir.
Yeah, it's a memoir about my life, and the book of poetry. I rather perform it. I'm not a huge fan of writing it in the book, but shout out to all the poets out there. But I just prefer to perform it on stage more so. I'm not saying that I won't write a poetry book one day, but all my books are gonna be stories for right now until I absolutely write a book of poetry one day.
So this book, Half Empty, Half Full, is basic storytelling.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the area, you talk about what is it that you talk. I believe when I was reading your information, you talked about a variety of things, urban life. I think you called yourself a street poet. So the things that you talk about and write about, what is the genre, or what do you talk about in your books, in this particular
Well,
book?
in this particular book, I don't know if you would how to character. I would say an urban supernatural. It's not a hood street book.
Okay.
It's really, but it's a little edgy here and there.
Right.
But it's a very a spiritual understanding, spiritual awakening type book.
Oh.
The thing about it, when I first started writing, the first thing I wrote about was the hood because I was living in it. But
Right.
I told myself 20 years ago that I wanted to reach and write more stories than just the environment of being in the hood. So I write stories that nobody else is gonna tell. I try to find the most interesting subject matter to tell a story about. And this particular story is interesting to a point. The feedback I'm getting on it right now, some people are calling it a masterpiece. It's different, but it's still edgy at the same time.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So the title, before I ask you about the inner workings of the book, this title, Half Empty, Half Full, that's a very provocative title, an attracting title. So give me the backstory on the title. Where'd that come from?
Backstory on the title is that's the third title I came up with. You know, that wasn't the initial title of the book. And then I came up with a second title, and then I ran. Actually, I listened to some hip hop song. I don't even remember who I was listening to, and they said "half empty, half full" in the song, and I ran it by a friend, and it just stuck. She was like, "Yeah, that's it." She said, "That would come to my interest if I see a book called Half Empty, Half Full," and it fits what's going on in the book because the couple in the book, their decision making, you can't really tell if they are getting better or if they're losing something at the same time.
Wow.
So that's why it's called half empty, half full, because they're growing not as artists. They're growing as human beings, as a couple.
Okay.
But yet they're making a lot of fearful decisions that's really, it's like 2 steps forward, 3 steps backwards.
Okay. So the book itself, Half Empty, Half Full. If you're just joining us, this is Talking Books, and we're talking to D Revolution about his book, Half Empty, Half Full. What is the we don't want to give away too much, but what is the book about? What will the reader find in the book? So what is the book about, this particular story?
Well, you have a couple that have 2 children, trying to get married, but they make a lot of rash decisions out of fear that causes a down spiral of decisions of them going in the wrong direction. Nathan, who is the male in the couple, he decides to start looking at spiritual things around him to help him make better decisions. But there's one initial decision that he has to make that could risk everything that he has to do. And so I can't really tell you more without getting too much of the story away, but it really just causes a lot of problems. But it's a very spiritually awakened type of book, very introspective. If you're searching for inner self, this is a good book to read.
Who would you say the book is for? Who would you say is the target audience of the book, for the book?
I don't want to sound cliche, but I like talking about the human experience. The human experience that we go through every day, the evolution of ourselves, redemption. You know, so a lot of my stories are based on evolution and redemption, and everybody can relate to that. You know, everybody has a point in their life where they need to grow and they have to look at things a little bit differently.
Wow.
Both of my books represent looking at life differently, whether it's in a relationship or just in personal self, if you have trouble getting friends or trouble just taking a hard look at yourself, putting yourself in front of the mirror. So, you know, I say my book is just about the human experience. With a splash of a little bit of a Black experience in there, but not overly pro-Black, you know. But it talks about the Black experience. Obviously, I'm Black,
right? But
only the human experience.
I like the word you said, redemption. So it contains some seeds of hope, or pushing people towards hope, if I'm reading you correctly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It gives you hope. This book is about sacrifices, self-awareness, and love.
Wow, that's good. That's good. Storytelling. How did you really get into storytelling? Were you influenced by other people, family, friends, or is just something that comes natural to you?
Do the Right Thing. That was the first thing. Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. I seen that when I was in high school, and I was like, man, and I was just turned on by that. And I mean, I consider Spike Lee to be my personal hero, but that's really where it started. Watching that movie, Do the Right Thing, and from there on, I I started, getting into writing and wanting to go to film school. I was still in high school at the time, but it really started there.
Okay. You mentioned in your when I was reading your bio information, you mentioned wanting to change the world through your spoken word, through your poetry, through your speaking. So that says that there's a lot of power in spoken word. So how can you change the world through poetry, through your spoken word? Because that seemed to be an emphasis for you.
Well, the one thing I realized is being a writer and doing spoken word is that words never change.
Hmm.
Words never change. You can listen to a Nat King Cole song, Nat King Cole song today,
Right.
and it would be very relevant today as it was back then. And you can listen to Bob Marley today, and you can listen to Bob Marley 30 years from now, it's going to be relevant. So words never really change a whole lot. The
Okay.
words that's put out into the universe is not going to really mean something different 20, 30 years from now. So with spoken word, I feel like we have the opportunity as poets to talk about things other people are thinking and talk
Wow.
about how we dealt with those situations. And when people hear you talk about something that they're personally dealing with, it helps them. They tend to relate to it, and it tends to help them cope and deal with what they're going through in their personal lives. And for me, I'm all about words. Words are powerful. It
Yes.
really is. I mean, think about it. Everything starts with a blank page. Everything starts with putting the first word on the page. When you open the book, you got to read that first word. Information is powerful, but it all starts with words. Everything is about words.
Oh,
It's very powerful.
I love that. I love that. I
So
love that. Yeah, the
I hope
power.
I answered your question.
I'm sorry. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. So,
Okay.
the power of words, putting them out to different people, whatever. If I'm hearing you correctly, that's how you change the world, because words are powerful and they can affect people, and people change the world. If I'm hearing you correctly.
Oh, absolutely. If you really think about it, how many times have you reverted back to something your mother told you 15, 20 years ago?
Every day.
Something that she said to you, or maybe even a stranger. Like, I have so many moments in my life where I ran into a guy on the bus that said something to me that was really relevant to my life 15 years later. He didn't know that he was making a difference in my life, but when you plant seeds in people with words and tell them something,
Hmm.
whether it's a quote, something conscious, words, or it all starts with words. And there's so many times that something somebody has said to me could be a teacher that was relevant to my life 15, 20 years later. So
Right.
that's the same thing that poetry do. Same thing. Or even reading a novel do as well.
Right.
You read something and it sticks to you, because I just think we're built that way.
Right.
We're built to take in information.
One of my most favorite, powerful, potent uh, principles from the book I use to run my life, the scriptures. It says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall live by the fruit thereof." So exactly what you said, the power of words. So let me ask you a question: what will the reader take away from reading Half Empty, Half Full?
I believe the reader would take away inner self. They would look at themselves and some mistakes that they've made, and they would start to look around them a little bit more for spiritual understanding, spiritual awakening. And when I say spiritual, I'm not saying religious. I'm saying spiritual, like really connecting. You realize, I think they would take away the connection with everything, how we
Right.
connect with every single thing.
Right.
And that's what this book talks about, is that you need to connect with everything that surrounds you.
So the book will cause them to connect or make a reconnection if they've fallen away somehow. Man.
Exactly, because the couple in this book, the decisions that they make and how they live, I am sure so many of us have done some of the things that they've done.
Right.
But if we could just paid attention, to what we need to do, because we make a lot of decisions out of fear.
Wow.
We make a lot of decisions about things we think that's going to happen that may never happen, but we make these decisions, and that's what this couple do. They make a lot of decisions of things they feel like is going to happen that doesn't actually happen, and but they got to deal with the consequences of their decisions.
Right.
And
Right.
so I think if anything, after reading the story, somebody would slow down and start to really pay attention to some of the decisions that they're making. And we really have to stop making decisions out of fear for our, fear in our life.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So life changing, and I'm going back to the word that you used earlier, redemptive. And so there's redemptive power in the decisions and in the book. That is powerful. So how do people get a copy of your book? Where can they get the book?
My books, the first book, One Chance to Be a Man, second book, Half Empty, Half Full, is at blackbooksforus.com. All one word, blackbooksforus.com.
Blackbooksforus.com.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so how can people reach you if someone wanted to contact you or have you come and speak or whatever the case may be? How can they reach you?
Actually, I don't know. Should I get my email out in this interview? I'm not sure. blackbooksforus@gmail.com. You can reach me there. And then there's information in the back of the book on how you can reach me as well.
Okay.
But I am absolutely open for anybody to reach out to me and talk books or interview me or anything. I'm open to all of that. So blackbooksforus@gmail.com.
Okay, blackbooksforus@gmail.com. We have been talking to D Revolution on Talking Books. He is the author of Half Empty, Half Full, a book that's going to make you think, a book that's going to affect you, infect you, and affect you. And so we appreciate his time with us today. So you need to go out and get a copy of his latest book, Half Empty, Half Full. D Revolution, any upcoming, I know this is going to be, people will be watching this on, rebroadcast, but any immediate, I know things are, because I don't know in Nashville if everything is shut down like it is here in California, but do you have any upcoming events or dates or speaking events that you'd like to plug?
Not at the moment, but I am about to start working on my third book, and I'm very excited about it.
Oh, it's exciting time.
I'm trying to get this one out here, but I'm going to start writing my third book. But right now, I don't have any event or anything planned. I haven't performed. I've been writing these books, so I haven't performed in a little while. Focus on these books, but all in all, I'm just trying to get positive messages out here, and the feedback I'm getting from this book is really amazing. I'm really happy that I'm getting the feedback that I'm getting. When somebody makes a masterpiece with your work, it's just really, really encouraging. Absolutely. So I'm starting to get really good feedback with this book. So I want everybody who's watching this, please, it's going to be money well spent. Please take a moment and go check out the book. It's going to be money well spent, guaranteed.
Spoken word extraordinaire, master storyteller, and he's put it in book form. So you need to get a copy of Half Empty, Half Full by D Revolution, and you can go to blackbooksforus.com to get a copy of his book, and blackbooksforus@gmail.com. That's how they can contact you. Is that correct? That's how they can reach you?
Blackbooksforus@gmail, yes.
Blackbooksforus@gmail.com. Brother D Revolution, we thank you so much for being with us on Talking Books today. Any last words you'd like to give to the people?
All right. Well, thank you. With the book, I also want people to understand that there is a lot that goes on in this book. It's just, mixed in with some spirituality, but it's a whole lot that goes on in this story.
Right.
Absolutely. The whole lot. I just wanted to say that.
Great, and I appreciate you being with us. Talking Books, the place for people who like books, reading them or writing them. If you have a book that you've written, you're writing, and you'd like to be on Talking Books to tell your story, talk to us, contact us at drshig@gmail.com. That's drshig@gmail.com. And as always, I thank you for being with us and want you to remember that your dream is doable. So go get it. Stay encouraged. Be blessed.